Are you thinking about moving to Montana but you don't have a job up here yet? In this video, we're going to talk to our favorite lender, Natalie, and she's going to tell you what you need to do if you're trying to buy a house but you don't have a job up here yet, or you haven't had a job up here yet. She's going to go over the different rules and how long you need the job and what you need to provide if you're trying to get a home loan when you're just moving up here. Okay, in this episode, we're back with Natalie Lenderman, and she is a lender that we recommend to everybody. She's been great, and she is very knowledgeable in home loans here in Montana. And in this episode, we're going to talk about if you're leaving your job or you're starting a new job here in Montana, what it's going to take to get a home loan. And with that, let me introduce Natalie and see what she has to tell us.
Hi, Will. I'm Natalie Lenderman. I work with Bay Equity Home Loans. We have an office in Whitefish and in Kalispell. And I've been in the mortgage industry for about 15 years. I started my career in banking and ended up in mortgages. So love Montana and, live in Whitefish, raising my kids here. And yeah, happy to help.
Well, great. Well, let's, in this video, we're going to go over, a lot of people just want to get out of wherever they are and they just move up here and, would like to buy a house. So with that comes employment verification. So maybe you could go into a little bit of that today and tell everybody what they need to know there.
Absolutely. So it's really important to reach out to a lender before you make any job changes. I can't emphasize enough how important the pre-approval process is. And typically I have clients ask me, well, we want to move to Montana, but we don't have jobs yet. And so by regulation, we are required to show the likelihood of the income continuing for 3 years. And that's on every conventional FHA, USCA, VA product that we have. And so it's really important that if a buyer is applying for a home loan and that employment is not going to continue, that we know about it because it changes the qualifications. So typically I'm having these conversations up front and talking about the different strategies and options that someone has. So, the first thing that I ask is, okay, well, what do you do for work now? Are you self-employed? Okay, if you're self-employed, how is relocating to Montana going to impact your income? Are you leaving the self-employment world? Are you not? And let's talk about that. Sometimes if you're self-employed and you're taking on a position, same line of work, typically lenders want to see 1 month's worth of pay with that new W-2 position. Let's say you run a business and the business can operate without you being physically present. We just have to show that. We just have to, paint that story for the underwriter. Let's say that you're able to work remotely. That's an easy one that we have that conversation with clients up front. What we're going to require during the loan process is a letter from a supervisor or from HR stating that you're going to work remotely and it doesn't have an impact on your wages. These are all really great topics to have a discussion with a lender ahead of your move to Montana. The worst thing that could happen is moving here and not having income or not having a job. It means that typically you're not going to qualify because we've got to have some sort of income.
So if I'll just take Costco, for example. So if you're working in Costco in, Nebraska, and you're transferring up here, that's a different deal than, you can probably qualify right away if you
Absolutely.
And
when there's a transfer, typically there's like a transfer offer or a transfer letter from the corporation. And that's all we need is to show what your wages are going to be. Sometimes in higher cost areas, maybe there's a decrease in hourly pay or an increase in hourly pay. That's what we're going to base the qualification on, is what is going to happen and what is it going to continue to be. A common question that I get is people like physicians or doctors that have been in training or fellowships. They're coming out of their residency and they have, a job offer from the hospital. We're able to actually use that offer letter. We don't need necessarily a pay stub or multiple pay stubs. We're able to use what their projected income is going to be. Every program is a little bit different. Sign-on bonuses or incentive bonuses or commissions, those are treated a little bit differently. But it happens a lot of the times. And, people say, well, where am I supposed to live if I get a job and you need a pay stub? There are products that will allow you to close on a home without even starting your new job, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So what about the worst case scenario that somebody just say they're in construction and they're making a whole bunch of money wherever they are, but then they come up here and as you know, with our market, they can get a construction job pretty easy. How long do they normally have to work, to give you proof of income before they'll qualify in that scenario?
So if there's overtime income, we'd want to see a couple paychecks to use that overtime. But most of the time, I'm able to actually use that hourly wage and get, an offer letter or a verification of employment from the new employer stating what that base pay is going to be, and we can use that for qualifying.
So how long would they have to work at that particular company?
They, on conventional financing, they don't necessarily need to start working right away. They can actually start working after they close on the home.
Okay, so when you say conventional financing, then for those that haven't done this before, that would be a 20% down situation.
So yeah, some scenarios allow you to do 3 or 5% with conventional, and our maximum loan limit in Montana is $548 to $50. So, again, I can't emphasize enough, like having that conversation with a lender up front so that we can walk through the different options that are available and what needs to take place, for documentation to make sure you qualify.
And then the next scenario that we can talk about is, what about the people that are coming up here to retire and they haven't done that yet? How does that work?
Yeah, I get this all the time. Montana is a definite place where people want to come and retire and live here. And so we talk about the timing of retirement. When is it going to happen? Is it going to happen, within the first couple months of buying the home, or is it in 2 to 3 years from now? Of course, I'm not a CPA or an accountant or a financial advisor. So I always recommend saying, hey, make sure you talk to your people to figure out, where your income is going to come from. Is it Social Security? Is it a pension? What is the avenue of where your income is going to come from? And we can use assets, people that have large 401ks and they, want to set up a consistent distribution from that. We can absolutely use that as income, and I can coach people through that process. But unless I know about it, we have to talk through those strategies. And then, of course, I always say, talk to your financial advisor and your CPA, because the last thing we want to do is set up income to where you're paying way over the amount of taxes that you want to be. So.
Yeah, well, that talking to a CPA is great advice. I would strongly recommend that. So if anybody has any questions for Natalie, her link will be down below in the notes, and there'll also be, that link will take you to her page where you can apply. Maybe you could go over that real quick and just give a quick.
Sure. Well, and I'm happy to. Yeah, and I'm happy to answer any calls. So, you'll see my phone number below and my link. Feel free to give me a ring or send me an email. Happy to answer any scenario questions and talk through some creative strategies if needed. Sometimes it's just, putting the thought together. And you can submit, an application through that link. And as soon as it comes over, myself will reach out to you and talk through it. So.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Natalie. And
Thanks, Bill.
yeah, we're planning on doing more of these videos about lending, because that's kind of a key thing when most people are moving to Montana. Not everybody has a pocket full of cash. So
Yep.
Natalie is a great lender, and I can't recommend her enough. And again, her details are down below in the link. And thanks for watching.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you for watching our video. Please call, text, or email for more information. And don't forget to watch our other videos about Montana.